Uh, oh, thank you very much. We not only see a kind of a bodily armor that we employ to protect ourselves, we feel, from the world, from other people. But of course, the world is full of, at least right now, the news of wars and the armaments. Armor seems to be in fashion, you know, and it's very lucrative business, armor. And so is the business of the missiles that are supposed to be able to destroy this kind of armor. So anyway, for us, the missiles are just open-hearted attitude, love and compassion. These are our the spiritual warriors' armor. So the method of breaking down, dissolving the barriers. So here, front of the body is open because we're willing to work with the world, benefit the world. So some of us have studied these teachings on love and compassion. This extraordinary mind of Bodhichitta that Shantideva is talking about in his great text. And of course, some of us have taken these vows. So as much as possible, then we are being reminded to keep that open-hearted attitude. However others are behaving, whether they're helping us or harming us, or seem to be on our side or against us, or neutral, there's this sense that we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. We have to work for the welfare and happiness of everybody, which is what everybody wishes for. But not only that, there seems to be some kind of underlying, I don't know, resonance or interdependent quality, whether you call it, I don't know, morphogenetic fields or whatever, all sorts of wonderful words have been employed to talk about this sense of harmony and interdependence that is a part of the fabric of the universe. And now, due to amazing research, we see how even the roots of trees, especially trees in a grove together, how they work together, how they have a kind of commonality, the sharing and the interdependence between the roots of trees, even this can be studied. So what to mention the interdependence and the connections between what is, potentially the most intelligent form of life on the planet, which is us. Although sometimes we feel ashamed to say so because we often behave so stupidly, destructively. But anyway, I'm talking about the posture. It's upright and it's open because we're connecting with the world, with others, which is the natural thing to do. Closing down actually makes us unhappy. It might take a long time to discover that. So I think I'm going to engage in this session together with my Dharma friends, discussion and listening, so forth, in order to develop more and more insight, clarity, kindness, insight. Because that's what's going to benefit. Even if I don't want it to, it will benefit myself and others. And in a sense, we are being asked not to really have hopes and expectations. If we're doing the skillful, engaging in a skillful process, the benefits will spontaneously arise. We don't need to ambitiously work for them. They will arise. Just as rain, gentle rain falling on the ground will bring forth seeds, sprouts, and whatnot. So, generate that sense of tenderness. If you're a father or mother, then you might be very, I don't know, British or stiff upper lipped at the office, but when you go home to your wife, your children, you can be very gentle and tender with them, I'm sure. So remember that tenderness, that gentleness, and think how wonderful it would be if one could share that with others. Intelligence, but together with gentleness. Think how wonderful it would be if all beings could receive that kind of kindness and love, which will enable them to flourish. How wonderful if young children and school children especially could receive that kind of environment, that kind of gentleness in which to develop their natural creativity without fear. So I think in order to achieve this, I need to develop both stability and insight in the context of great compassion. So therefore, I'm going to engage in some silent meditation with the breath as the main object. Although we don't need to focus on it 100%, there can be kind of panoramic awareness of whatever sensations, sound, sense of the air on the fan or air conditioning or whatever. But primary focus can be the breath. Stillness, relaxation, vigilance, attention. These three. Sense of letting go with the out breath. Okay. Gradually the mind come back to where you're sitting, space. So prepare to look at the text by great Bodhisattva Shantideva. Maybe in our meditation we experienced firsthand something that we are said to be experiencing all the time, pretty much, a lot of the time. And here it is expressed by one teacher. This is just a kind of a preliminary statement connected with the meditation practice. Little things cause a shift in our attention, no matter how small or little they might be. But in the end, things tend to get exaggerated immensely. So suffering comes from such little twists that are taking place in our life. That first little hint of dislike, for example, for somebody, or that first hint of attraction for somebody, eventually escalates and could bring on a much more immense scale of emotional drama or psychodrama. Everything starts from a minute scale at the beginning and then expands. It begins to swell, so to speak, and expand in that way until it becomes very large, immeasurably large in a lot of cases. We experience ourselves that way. Within that frame of reference, that subtle shift of attention seems to be the important cause of suffering in our life. Such shifts of attention make emotions, as they are, aggression, passion, ignorance, all the rest of them. They are seemingly very heavy-handed, large-scale and crude, but they have their origin in a subtle twist that takes place in our mind constantly, all the time. So we might be on the lookout for these little twists, these little seeds, or as when one place an author says, how does that author put it? Anyway, the subtle kind of vibrations of thought, thought patterns. Starts very softly, like sometimes there's a very soft patter of rain, just a few drops are falling, and you haven't been noticing the sky. You feel these little drops, and then suddenly, or quite quickly at least, all this rain comes down, very heavy rain. It started with a few pattering drops, and then a full scale tamasha starts, full scale downpour. So that's interesting. Flickering thoughts. Yeah, that's what that author said. Flickering thoughts, something like that. And then escalation, like conflicts between people or countries. Small still, a small thing, and then it erupts, you know. So it seems like we have the potential for all kinds of things in our consciousness, doesn't it? The jealousy, the anger, the attachment, the craving, the obsessions, the all you know, everything. Just needs a little, yeah, something, twist, as he puts it. So we need to be on the lookout for this. This could be quite interesting. I suppose on the positive side, a little positive twist can also lead to an escalation of very positive thoughts. Yeah, beneficial, positive thoughts. What do you think? Anyway, back to the Shantideva, chapter 4, we're looking at conscientiousness, where he starts in a very powerful way by saying, you know, the results of giving up this mind of compassion, of deceiving others, once you're promised to help all beings, and then you behave in a most undignified way or a harmful way, you are totally, it's not like you're just harming one person. It's like you're harming all beings, because you have made a promise to benefit all sentient beings and lead them to enlightenment. And here we are, behaving badly, harming them, saying nasty things to them, having negative thoughts. So what are we doing? You know, we're on a very, very grand scale. So he's saying the results of that are dreadful. Don't do it. If I should deceive all beings after having sincerely invited them to the unsurpassable bliss, shall I take a happy rebirth? It's like you invite people to your home. You know, you put out invitation cards and all this, and you invite them to a great feast at your home, and then they come to your home, and all you have is a few stale chips or peanuts or something. You haven't taken any kind of care, and what's more, it's dirty, and you're in a foul mood, and you don't say nice things to these guests. What a dreadful thing, you know, awful. What are they going to think? So Shantideva is kind of saying, this is something we have to be on the lookout for. We may have very enthusiastically made our vow in front of a teacher, together with our friends, that we're going to be, you know, help others, be beneficial, and then we behave like rakshas or demons, or we behave badly. Yeah. This sort of bodhisattva is the heaviest of downfalls. For should it ever happen, the welfare of all will be weakened. See, if we promise to help so many people and then we behave like this, then none of them are helped by me. So therefore, in that sense, the welfare of others are weakened, even though we might think, what difference does it make? I'm only one person, you know. But yeah, everyone is just one person. But then if people stop behaving properly and fulfilling their duties and vows towards others, then imagine, you know. Should others, for even a single moment, hinder or obstruct a bodhisattva's wholesome deeds, by weakening the welfare of all, there will be no end to their rebirth in lower states. Also, we should not obstruct the actions, it is saying, of bodhisattvas. Of course, we don't know exactly who's a bodhisattva, but I guess the message here is don't do anything that prevents others from benefiting others. You know? Don't stop people benefiting others. You may be very jealous of someone who is able to benefit others, but don't, for heaven's sake, bring anything to bear that will cause them not to be able to benefit. We must rejoice in, you know, all good deeds and not hinder the good work of others. You know? If my being is impaired by destroying the joy of even one creature, then what need is there to mention destroying the joy of creatures vast as space? Again, the same idea. Just harming one person is bad, is not is bad enough. But in a sense, we are destroying the joy of everyone by going back on our vows to benefit. So he's saying, and he's saying in verse 11, that if we behave in that way, that not only will we fall away from the awakening mind, the Bodhichitta, but we'll be hindered for a long time on achieving these higher levels in the future of the Bodhisattva levels, which require not only the compassion, but the insight into emptiness. So behaving in this way is going to harm us for a very long time. So he's warning us against it again and again. Therefore, just as I promised, shall I respectfully accord my actions. If from now on I make no effort, I shall descend from lower to lower states. Although for the benefit of every creature, countless Buddhas have passed by, yet I was not an object of their care because of my own mistakes. Many Buddhas have come. Why am I not, awakened yet? I've had beginningless mind. I've had beginningless interactions or been around when Buddhas were teaching and so forth. But what is the benefit? I'm still deluded. So it must be some mistake from my side. The sun has been shining and coming up every day and shining, but if I don't open my doors and windows or put my wet laundry out in the sun, then it's not going to dry. I'm not going to get the benefit of that sunshine. So there is my own mistakes create my own suffering. It's not the mistake of bodhisattvas. And if I continue to act like this, in other words, this most, reckless and unfortunate way, then again and again I shall undergo suffering in unhappy realms, sickness, bondage, laceration, and the shedding of blood. Yeah, he doesn't mince his words sometimes. Of course, he's making reference here to the hell realms. There are very, very graphic descriptions of hell realms in the Buddhist teachings, and they involve this kind of thing: laceration, cutting, shedding of blood, and so forth. So we want to avoid that. And also think about, if we think of karma, thinking today, because, Putin has just passed this, thing, what's it called? Conscription, right? General conscription. So many Russians are trying to escape Russia to escape, being brought into the army. And just now I was seeing in the Guardian website, some of the new conscripts, these are people who have almost no training, anything. They're being conscripted and sent to the front line. Now, who knows? That could be propaganda, could be fake news, but it seems to be the case that a lot of people are being conscripted. And so one moment there you are at home with your family, your parents, and enjoying, whatever, the kind of normal life as you can. And within a few days, you're in the front line and people are shooting at you, and you see blood around, or you get injured. And you have to suffer your own pain and your own blood. The things can change very quickly in samsara, And we don't have to be conscripted into a war, do we? We can not be wearing a seatbelt, and the next month dead, squashed, badly injured. So karmic results are there, and he's saying there's dreadful results from going back on our promises to sentient beings. Whoops. Somehow, suddenly at page 48. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're getting the idea, what he's trying to say here. If the arising of a Buddha, faith, attainment of this precious human body, and my being fit to cultivate virtue are kind of scarce things, then when will they be won again? To create these causes I have made for this amazing human body with its opportunities, I've had to engage in a lot of positive actions. So if I behave badly, start behaving badly, and I'm reckless, When am I going to create the causes for this amazing human opportunity again? He's asking. It's not going to happen in a hurry, you know. Although today I'm healthy, well nourished, unafflicted, life is momentary and deceptive. The body is like an object on loan for but a minute. And with behavior such as this, I shall not win a human body again. And if this human form is not attained, then there will be solely unwholesomeness and no virtue. Importantly, he's stressing precious human birth again. And causes of that are virtue, not non-virtue. If when I have the chance to live a wholesome life, my actions are not wholesome, then what shall I be able to do when I'm confused by the misery of the lower realms? There's confusion, there's ignorance, and not knowing, you know? And often, of course, we are just helplessly propelled into actions. A cheetah or a lion or tiger doesn't think about whether killing is positive or negative. It just has to kill. It's in its DNA or whatever, in its instinct. It kills to eat, unless it's in a zoo, you know? Or whatever. Some have been known to become vegetarians when under the care of very sadhus or whatever, vegetarians. They have been known. I don't know how long they live that way, but I would say it's very, very good karma for an animal to be brought up like that, even though they're suffering. To have that karma of action of being vegetarian for a bunch of years is possibly very good. Anyway, that's a tangent. And if I commit no wholesome deeds in these lives, but readily accumulate a lot of evil actions, then for 100 million eons, I shall not even hear the words, a happy life. You won't even hear those words, happy life, good life. Eons of time. He's really putting in the scare tactics here. For these very reasons, Buddha has said that, like for a turtle to insert its neck into a yoke or drift upon the vast ocean, it's extremely hard to attain the human state. So this is an example from the teachings. It said that there's a blind turtle which comes up once every 100 years, sticks its head out of the ocean to have a look around or take a breath or whatever. And somewhere on that vast ocean is a yoke, is a ring floating. So what chance is there of the turtle putting its head through that ring, you know? Almost nil, right? So getting this kind of human life, he's saying, is like that. Very hard to get the human life like we have, like you and I. You know, we're not going to have to go out and rummage amongst some dustbin to get our evening meal. We're not going to have to, like so many people now, even in the United States. I heard all the big cities, big groups of homeless people, just a tent, something like that. Program recently on the disparity between the very, very rich and the very, very poor. And this, of course, all over the world. But it's kind of something which we didn't expect so quickly in places like the United States. Anyway, a good birth, you know, where we have everything we need, especially the Dharma, the teachings that help us create the causes of happiness and avoid suffering. If even by the evil of one instant, an eon may be spent in the deepest hell, then because of the evil I've gathered since beginningless time, what need to mention my not going to a happy realm? You know, if we show anger or hinder the efforts of a kind, compassionate person or a bodhisattva, if we injure or kill a very compassionate being, or just kill an ordinary being, then that can throw us into hellish experience for a long time. And even in this life, we might suffer a lot, go to jail, and then suffer mistreatment in jail and so on and so forth. So, and while one is in that hellish rebirth, I shall still not be liberated. By experiencing that, it's not as though my negative karma will be finished, because even while I'm in the hell realm, I'll be creating negative thoughts, especially negative thoughts, anxiety and fear, all of that. So that's not good karma. So if when having found leisure such as this particular human life, if I don't attune myself to what is wholesome, there could be no greater deception, no greater stupidity, no greater folly. How stupid can one get? It's like you're put in a place, say you're a businessman and you're put on an island where there's so much gold. And then you leave the island without even one coin of gold in your pocket. You're just so confused or careless, or stupid that you don't even take any gold with you. So if having understood this, I still foolishly continue to be lazy, then when the hour of death arrives, tremendous grief will raise its head. Then if my body blazes for a long time in the unbearable flames of hell, inevitably my mind will be tormented by the fires of unendurable remorse, regret. Having found by some coincidence this beneficial state, this human life, that is so hard to find, if now, while I'm able to discriminate, I once again am led into the hells, then it's as though I were hypnotized by a spell. And I shall reduce this mind to nothing. Even I do not know what is causing me confusion. What is there dwelling inside me? He's putting this question. How can I behave so stupidly? What is making me behave like this? Where I'm destroying, the chances of my happiness, creating causes for suffering. Then a very famous verse, very wonderful verse, 28. Although enemies such as hatred and craving have neither any arms nor legs, and are neither courageous nor wise, how have I been used like a slave by them? Wow. Hatred, craving, they don't have arms and legs, they don't have any courage, they're not wise, but I'm become their slave. It's like saying shame on us, For while they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure they cause me harm. Matlab, at their will. Yet I patiently endure them without any anger. This is an inappropriate and shameful time for patience. There's positive patience and there's negative patience. This is negative. Just being patient with not doing anything about the disturbing emotions in our mind, not doing anything at all to reduce them. This is shameful. Should even all the gods and anti-gods rise up against me as my enemies, they could not lead or place me in the roaring fires of deepest hell, but the mighty enemy, these disturbing conceptions, in a moment they can throw me, cast me into those flames, which when met will cause not even the ashes of the king of mountains to remain. So Matlab is saying the fires and the pains of the hell realms are beyond our imagination. Even the ashes of Mount Meru will not remain in such a hell. All other enemies are incapable of remaining for such a length of time as can my disturbing conceptions. Okay, we've had wars in history, even the famous 100 Years' War in European history. But okay, 100 years. But you see, these disturbing conceptions, One lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, beginning this lives, they are torturing us. Those are the real enemies. Long time enemy with neither beginning nor end. So if I agreeably honor and entrust myself to others, they will bring me benefit and happiness. But if I entrust myself to these disturbing emotions, conceptions, in future they'll bring only misery and harm. Might as well go through to the end and then discuss, pretty much. Well, there's a lot here. Maybe we won't go to the end. While in cyclic existence, how can I be joyful and unafraid if in my heart I readily prepare a place for this incessant enemy of long duration, the sole cause for the increase of all that harms me? I'm just creating a place for these disturbing emotions again and again in my heart, in my mind. It's like I'm saying, "Aiye, baithiye, please be comfortable." Yeah, and these are the only cause for everything that harms me. We might think other, outer objects are harming me, but sure, outer objects can harm us. It's true. A truck can run us over, a bullet can kill us or harm us. But, ultimately it's the mind creates the suffering. It's our perspective, it's our mind. Especially in terms of the cause also, the cause of why we might be, injured or whatever, killed. The deep cause is karma, which comes from the mind originally. And then how we deal with the circumstances we meet in life, that depends on our present state of mind. So in the end, it always comes back to mind. How shall I ever have happiness if in a net of attachment within my mind there dwell the guardians of the prison of cyclic existence, these disturbing conceptions that become my butchers and tormentors in hell? Therefore, as long as this enemy is not slain with certainty before my very eyes, I shall never give up exerting myself towards that end. Having become angry at someone who caused only slight and short-lived harm, self-important people will not sleep until their enemy is overcome. And if while engaged in a violent battle, vigorously desiring to conquer those whose disturbing conceptions will naturally bring them suffering at death, men disregard the pain of being pierced by spears and arrows and will not withdraw until the day is won, then what need is there to mention that I should not be faint-hearted and lazy, even if I am caused many hundreds of sufferings, when now I strive to definitely overcome my natural enemies, these disturbing conceptions, which are the constant source of my misery. So he's saying, we get angry with small things. And in some cases, when we fight in wars and so forth, we don't mind we ignore the pain of being pierced by spears and arrows or whatever, So therefore, what need is there to mention that we should be extra vigilant and courageous and determined to overcome these, what he calls natural enemies. I don't know what the original Sanskrit or Tibetan is, but natural enemies meaning they're naturally abiding in our mind at the moment. These disturbing conceptions, constant source of my misery. So if, people in wars or, proud of the scars that they have, they wear their scars like ornaments, then why am I afraid of suffering, in the noble cause of trying to destroy these disturbing conceptions? Who impeccably strives to fulfill the great purpose to destroy the disturbing conceptions and to generate the mind of a Buddha. Why am I Why is suffering in this cause, such a distress for me? It should be something I, can accept easily. Just like people who fight ordinary fights with weapons, they don't mind very often being harmed. They wear their wounds like ornaments. If fishermen, hunters, and farmers, thinking merely of their own livelihood, endure the sufferings of heat and cold, why am I not patient for the sake of the world's joy? Wow. Hunters and so forth, not us, of course. We just go to the shop and buy things, in packets. But people in the wild who have to hunt for their food, they go through so much hardship just to get their day's food, trudging through, forests and marshes and whatever, and then having to kill, and endure cold and everything to get their food. So people go through so much. Fishermen have to endure storms and cold weather and long hours at sea and so forth. So why am I so lazy? Why am I not patient when I have to work for the sake of others, the sake of the joy of the world? When I promised, he's remembering his Bodhisattva vows now, when I promised to liberate all those beings, dwelling in the 10 directions as far as the ends of space, from their disturbing conceptions, I myself is not yet freed from my own. Thus, unaware of even my own capacity, was it not somewhat crazy to have spoken like that? But as this is so, I must never withdraw from vanquishing my disturbing conceptions. So he is kind of saying, it's kind of insane to make this bodhisattva vow, kind of, to pledge to work for the benefit of others. But nevertheless, I did in front of the Buddhas, in front of my teacher. So now I have to, be loyal to that. I have to be loyal to that. Even though I'm not yet free from my own disturbing conceptions, I must do my best. I think he's saying that. And to do this will be my sole obsession. So in the past, the obsession may have been whatever: sex, drugs, rock and roll, football, entertainment. So now my sole obsession will be this: holding a strong grudge, I shall meet them in battle. The disturbing conceptions in battle. But disturbing conceptions such as these destroy disturbing conceptions, and for the time being are not to be abandoned. Matlab, sometimes anger at the disturbing conceptions, that's like a disturbing conception itself, right? The anger or the aggression. But he's saying some types of aggression or disturbing emotion can have their use. They can be used to actually destroy the real enemies. It would be better, this is very famous verse too, it would be better for me to be burned, to have my head cut off, and to be killed, rather than ever bowing down to those ever-present disturbing conceptions. Common enemies, when expelled from one country, simply retire and settle down in another. Whoops. Lost the page. Went straight to the meditation chapter. So he's saying when you expel common enemies, they settle down, and when their strength is recovered, they then come back, these ordinary enemies, people. But the way of this enemy, my disturbing conceptions, is not similar in this respect. Deluded, disturbing conceptions. So here he's referring to the fact that disturbing conceptions are based on unreality, on untruth. So therefore they can be unmasked and banished forever by wisdom. He says, when forsaken by the eye of wisdom and dispelled from my mind, then where will you go? Where will you dwell in order to be able to injure me again? But weak-minded, I've been reduced to making no effort. So far I've not made the effort. But Shantideva is suggesting that through wisdom, these disturbing emotions, unlike outer enemies, they can be banished forever. Outer enemies, you may kill them, but their sons and daughters may come back to haunt you, generations later, as we have seen in history. Some things are not forgotten, and so forth. But when we actually, with wisdom, undermine self-grasping ignorance, then it's over. The disturbing conceptions have no more oxygen to breathe. We have suffocated them. They have chopped the root from which they derive sustenance, right? Okay, just a couple more verses and then discussion. If these disturbing conceptions, now he's analyzing, where actually are these disturbing conceptions? He's now going into a little bit of wisdom here. If disturbing conceptions do not exist within the objects themselves, the sense organs, between the two, or elsewhere, where do they exist? How do they harm the world? He's asking, search for these disturbing emotions. Where are they? Where do they live? Where can you find them? In the object itself? In the ugly object, the beautiful object? Are they in your sense organ? Are they in between? Where are they? He's saying they're like an illusion. Thus, I should dispel the fear within my heart and strive resolutely for wisdom. For no real reason, why should I suffer so much in hell? You see, we suffer because we get caught up in hallucination, in an untruth, which is unnecessary. It's an untruth. We can't help getting old and dying. That's a truth. But we can help being deceived. We can stop being deceived by ignorance, because ignorance has shaky foundations. It's actually like a hallucination. So hallucination, when you see it for what it is properly, then it has no power. When it's clear that the piece of rope on the floor is not a snake, it's just a piece of rope, then you're no longer afraid of that piece of rope, right? You see it for what it is. So similarly, it's wisdom that's going to destroy these disturbing conceptions forever. And then they'll never come back. You'll never be able to come back like ordinary enemies haunting you, years after you thought that everyone was dead. There's still somebody there who is willing to carry on the fight and take revenge. Therefore, he says, last verse, chapter 4, therefore, having thought about this well, I should try to put these precepts into practice just as they have been explained. Because if the doctor's instructions are ignored, how will a patient need his medicine? So, in other words, just like the Venerable was saying, that was the topic anyway, it's been explained what needs to be done. The good doctor has prescribed the medicine. Now, if we ignore the doctor, don't take the medicine, that's our problem, right? We can't be healed in this way. Okay, sorry, a lot of blah, blah. Discussion, please. It's nice on Zoom, you can't throw rotten eggs or tomatoes if you're fed up with the speaker or whatever. You just have to, there's not even any reactions. All the reactions there are nice. Clapping, thumbs up, heart of love, laughter, surprise, and cornetto ice cream or something in the reactions. So, you can't do anything nasty to me, even if you want to. Of course, you wouldn't want to, would you? Because Shantideva is pretty amazing. But you may find his allusions of the hells and so forth a bit much for our modern humanistic, logical, 21st century materialist worldview. Right? I haven't seen the hells. They don't talk about them on BBC, WhatsApp for that matter. So where are these hells? What are these hells? I don't know. But everyone's talking about them in this tradition. From the Buddha onwards, everybody talks about hells. So I don't know, what is it? Is Buddha also eating magic mushrooms or what? But a lot of talk about hell. And it's really bad realms, bad realms. But then, as I said before, if you imagine you're one of these small creatures that is about to be eaten up by a snake, what's that like? And the snake is opening its jaws and you're going into the mouth of the snake, being crushed. What's that like? I don't think I would like that. Even if I have the nervous system of a small rat or something, I don't think it would be nice. I think they're very afraid. It's not as though they don't try and run away. And I saw this heartbreaking, most disturbing thing on probably National Geographic early this year, last year. I was watching with, I don't remember, I was watching alone or with my aunt. Anyway, there's these killer whales, yeah? There was this seal on a block of ice trying to escape these sea lions, these killer whales. Now they're under the water, right? Killer whales, but they're so intelligent. They're coming and crashing against, from the underside, they're crashing against this small island of ice that the seal is taking refuge on, scared out of its wits. There are 4 or 5 of these killer whales together. Beautiful movers, so streamlined through the water, amazing underwater photography, of course. And then crashing against the island of ice. And then finally they're dislodging it and the seal is falling off the ice, and then in the face, somehow, the seal, of course, it can't make as many expressions as a human being, but it was awful. It was awful watching that. So, one could imagine being something like that, hunted by others. And then if karma is correct, then the killer whales also aren't really getting any great karma by killing that seal. But best, they're just creating the karma to be killer whales in future lives. And what kind of life is that? Sure, you're a good swimmer, but what else? So anyway, here I am talking again, and I asked you to say something. Such a bad karma. I won't be able to get a word in edgeways in future lives. I don't allow other people to speak. Aruna ji, kya hal hai? Are you awake? Last time in class you fell asleep. How are you? Maybe asleep again? Okay. Elaine, what's happening? Any questions? You're a master from Nalanda?
No. I'm just starting my Nalanda course next year.
Okay.
No, Kabir. Yeah, hells are there. I think mental hells are also there. Physical, of course. Even in the human realm, we can see it. Such bad situations, people are in pain. If one does not, that is, if one thinks that the realms are all in this life as a human being, we go through all of them. And of course, the Buddha says that they are actual, and all the great masters say they're actual hell realms. It's not just, humans going through bad situations. But that's an...
What do you mean? But what do you mean by an actual hell?
I think we don't have the ability to see a hell realm as human beings.
But what is an actual hell? What do you mean by an actual hell?
I think, Kabirji, that's what the masters, or wherever it's written, that there are beings that are actually reborn in a hell realm where they go through eons of suffering.
Are they places? Are they places in space somewhere?
I don't
planet?
I
What?
don't know. I don't know, Kabirji. Most of the time I feel that it's an allegory for, human suffering, animal suffering. But then these are the things that we can see, right? But that doesn't mean there are a whole lot of other things that we don't see. Even in mythology, we have, Gandharvas and things that live with just smell and
Mm,
beings, spirits, ghosts, all these are demons, all these are supposed to be there. Maybe we don't have the ability to see it, but we always think of our situation and how in one lifetime you can go through all six realms over and over every day, and people are suffering dreadfully all the time with physical pain, mental pain. So it could be like being in a hell realm.
mm.
So that's
Okay.
all I had to say, Kabirji.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Feel free. This is a free for all. Uncensored. Well, it might be censored later by Nivita or Namita or Tushita, but up to now I haven't heard that. Because we're being pretty polite, really. We haven't done anything too politically incorrect yet. And we do keep politics out of this, so pretty much. Hanji, Aruna ji, have you woken up? Hello. No, okay. Pradeep ji, Sagar, anything?
Kabirji, I have a question.
Okay.
So I always used to think that, in Christianity, there's such a big, emphasis on like this cultivating fear of going to hell and of sinning, confession and everything. And I always used to think that's not very helpful. Like it's not a good thing, all that fear, like being driven by fear. So what do you think about this in terms of like this chapter?
Yeah, I don't know really. I think there's positive fear and there's unwholesome fear. And if the fear of, for example, if the fear of, I don't know, AIDS or cancer or certain diseases makes people behave more responsibly or makes people, look left, right before crossing the road, if the fear of being killed makes them do that, then I think very good. But then the fear, it doesn't have to last forever. Once one has got the message and acting appropriately, then there's no need for the fear. If I fear getting diabetes because a lot of my actions are pointing and the doctor tells me about it, a doctor I trust, let's say, good doctor, and they tell me, look, if you keep on eating this and behaving like this and not taking enough exercise, blah, 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 you're going to get diabetes and it can be like this. And he gives a very graphic description of all of the symptoms and the other side effects. And then you really get upset. But then we prefer that or a doctor who says, oh, it's okay, really, it's not really that bad. Or, don't be so tough on yourself. So I think, it's something to think about. If it leads to unalloyed fear alone, then of course it's not useful. But I guess we are hampered, at least I'm hampered, because I can't see a future life. I can't see even one past life of mine. Even though I have some faith, there really is continuity. But I can't see anything. So that hinders me. I cannot see the suffering I've been through or the suffering I will go through in future lives. I can just relate to some of this life's suffering. And even that is a little scary. But realm, I can see the animal realm, and that scares me. I wouldn't want to be reborn as an animal. And I think that kind of fear is useful to if one has faith and some understanding that of cause and effect. Otherwise, yeah, animal realm is just entertainment, which is what it's there for on TV. Entertainment and of course educational. It's also educational. But what do you think? I mean, do you think fear has a place or not in spiritual path? I think if it's just fear, as in the Christians, I mean, this is one reason why my great-grandfather became a free religious thinker, because he went against how he was being taught at the end of the 19th century in Scotland, where they would put children's finger in a candle flame and say, that hurts, doesn't it? You know? So what would it be like to burn in hell, you know, forever and ever? So great-grandfather didn't like that. And that's going a bit far, perhaps, to do it that way. But yeah, Buddhists are doing a similar thing, except they're not putting our fingers in candles, but they're talking about it very graphically. Even my own teacher, Lama Zopa Vijay, says one spark of hell, fire, is far, far greater than all of the fires on earth, you know. So whatever, they're trying to say something, that hell is a very incredibly, I don't know, awful experience, painful experience beyond words. So we should be afraid of it, just as we should be afraid of some terrible disease that we are able to prevent if we are careful. So we should be afraid of course, if there's no way of preventing something, then of course the fear is, we can't do anything. But Buddha is saying we can do something. So therefore, the fear can be creative fear, meaning useful fear. I don't think, anyway, I'm going around in circles now. What is Bilalji saying? Bilal? Buddha faced plenty of his own fear and terror of imminent death. 18th November 2016, wondering about that. What is that about? The Buddha faced plenty of his own fear and terror of imminent death. Or maybe 18th November 2016 is a mistake. No, unless something happened on that day. Anyway, what do you think, Nivitaji? What do you think about fear and?
I think what you said about like a point where it's helpful and a point where maybe it's more hindering and renders us like sort of incapable of doing anything. We're just stuck in the fear then, where it like controls us. And I think it's also good like to not, avoid getting sort of going into the sort of blissed out state when we in meditation are getting caught up in the mental peace and how it makes us feel. It keeps us a little more grounded in the reality that if we have faith in that and hell drums and that we can end up there. Yeah, I think it's grounded in that practice. Yeah, so that's beneficial. Otherwise, it's like you said, being on an island of gold and leaving without a single coin. It's like we'll just leave this life without anything. So I think it's good. Yeah, thank you. Your answer was really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kabirji, may I?
Of course, sir.
Kabirji, I was listening to one of the Rinpoches, I forget the name, yesterday on YouTube, which was shared on the WhatsApp group also. He was saying that compassion without wisdom can lead you to a psychiatrist.
Absolutely.
And morality without wisdom can make you self-righteous. I think similar thing could apply to fear. Fear without wisdom may lead to paralysis, like you.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Absolutely. I mean, Buddha is showing the way out, yeah. He's not just filling us with fear. He's saying fear comes from ignorance and these negative actions. There's a way out. So then no need to fear. The good doctor is saying, yeah, you could get diabetes, but if you follow my advice, you're not going to get diabetes. So no need for fear. But if we keep on behaving like idiots, like we have been since beginningless lifetimes, then we're creating more and more causes for fear. But as you say, if we employ the wisdom, and those wonderful words in the Heart Sutra about the Bodhisattva being without fear, you know, in the one middle section of the Heart Sutra, saying because they have, you know, no clinging and this and that, they have no fear. So bodhisattvas have no fear, but that's because they're doing what needs to be done. You know, they're employing, as you say, wisdom, and they're already bodhisattvas, so they have extraordinary compassion. Yeah. Yeah, I was reminded of what Dzongchen Rinpoche says, quoting some Lama. If we think there's a tiny corner somewhere in samsara which could be okay, could be, you know, without suffering, then we're wrong. You know, there is no corner anywhere, and the dharma is designed to turn our life upside down, to make us feel uncomfortable, and to make us feel revulsion against ordinary life, ordinary samsara, you know, meaning delusion and karma. We're supposed to feel disgusted at it, which it is really. It's just disgusting. It goes on and on and on, torturing us. It's something awful. So in that sense, it has a very essential, basic function in Buddhism, to make us feel weary and revulsion at cyclic existence. Which is like a wheel of torture. But of course, because it has a lot of pleasant sensations and things along the way, I guess we feel it's not too bad. Those of us who have enough food and shelter and, you know, money in the bank, for us, we feel it's not too bad. But it's basically endless dissatisfaction. Some very, very, very powerfully painful interludes. So, or a very, very few pleasant interludes, according to Buddha. But we can't see it, so I guess we kid ourselves into thinking it's okay. But yeah, someone like Shantideva has to go to such lengths to wake us up. I guess he's willing to do that. He feels we need to be given that medicine, very bitter medicine, which is going to make us think. If he'd used very restrained language in these verses, like, you know, if you create negative actions, then you're going to have some unpleasant results, folks, you know, like that. I don't know how much effect it would have, but I guess his words make us want to sometimes investigate more. What is karma? How does it work? What are these realms? What's a hell realm? You know? Yeah. Typing mistake, yes. Okay. What else, folks? Aruna ji, are you there yet? Coming to Delhi, and I will chastise you when I see you. You have to leave a little early. Okay. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much for your answer. Anyone else at Tushita? Rahul ji, anything? And is that Naveen? And that must be Naveen in his normal place. Look, that must be Naveen. He always sits there. He's wedded to that spot. Is that Naveen? No?
Ashok, his first time at this center.
Acha, okay. Good, welcome. Looked like Naveen, but my eyesight isn't that good. Anybody? Sagar, bhai, anything?
Abhijit, today's session was very disturbing.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Like Dalai Lama says at the end of his talks very often, if there's anything that upsets you or you don't like, just forget it. Anything you found useful?
No, not in that way.
Very good.
Not in that way. Like you
Forget it.
said, like Dzongsa Rinpoche said that dharma is designed to
Turn your life upside
let you,
down.
yeah, in that way. I was feeling very almost scared in the middle. Yeah, like what am I
Don't
doing?
do anything foolish. Yeah, just take it easy, okay? Have a good dinner. It'll make you feel better. Yeah. Have your mom cook your favorite.
Thank you.
food.
Thank you. I mean, I feel that the urgency to practice.
Yeah. You can incorporate some of this in some of your film scripts.
Absolutely.
Give it some, give it some. Nothing like fear and loathing to help sell a movie, you know. Yeah. There's this amazing movie, Fear and Loathing, in Las Vegas. Have you seen it? Johnny Depp. Unbelievable movie. Based on Hunter Thompson book. Anyway, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, if you come across it. But yeah, you need quite a strong stomach for part of it. It is brilliantly acted. And very powerful story connected with the American dream. So it might appeal more to American people, but I think it has a message for us in India, definitely the young people in India. Yeah. Sujit ji.
Also, Kabir ji.
आप भी कुछ सुनाइए. Sorry.
No, I was saying that you gave the example of the rain, that two drops are dropping by and you don't look upwards, then suddenly it starts drizzling. So I have felt that this with the anger, that I'm going somewhere and I yell out at someone in the traffic, then my whole day goes like that. I'm always in the anger the whole day. So I think the anger also spills out. Yeah, like if I'm angry and I think of my even nephew who I really love, उसके बारे में भी उसके ऊपर भी मेरे को गुस्सा आने लग जाता. So I've noticed that. So anger really spills, and it's really
proliferation. Yeah. Mine keeps on going back to these Russian soldiers who don't want to be there fighting any of that. What a life. You're there with a gun, you're supposed to kill people, you don't want to be there doing what you're doing. Horrible. But maybe good. If it stops them killing a few people, then that's good. To enjoy killing, that would be worse. To enjoy killing.
Maybe the government will make them feel that.
Make them feel what?
Maybe they'll enjoy it, because the government will make them feel like it's a must. This is how it's done.
Government will do what they can. Yeah. It seems that it's making things even more critical, and let's hope they don't decide to use tactical nuclear weapons from the Russian side. The West has said they will respond very powerfully if Putin goes nuclear. Doesn't want to think about that really too much. But it could happen, yeah. I mean, they have these obscene weapons for so many years, thousands of them. I mean, it's crazy, no? Of course they could be used.
Kabir ji? Kabir ji, may I add?
Is that Jagmohan ji?
Something
Your can you turn off your video? It will save your bandwidth. Can you turn off your video? Because your sound is not good.
How now is the sound better now? Is the sound
Slightly,
better now?
yes.
I just
Slightly.
wanted to add that I have talked to some people who were in the combat zone, and they told me that once you are there, you meet the enemy face to face, anything goes, because you know that if you don't kill, he will kill you. So you don't even think about anything else. You don't think of Buddhism, you don't think of Gandhism, you don't think of non-violence, you don't think of peaceful coexistence. And
Yeah, sure.
you just shoot and you kill, you keep on killing. Either you get killed or you come back victorious.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add this, what this individual had related to me in the combat zone. That's
Yep.
all, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Image came to mind also, you know, people could be trying to kill each other. So they had this in the First World War, the trench warfare, where horrible, you know, killing, and so many died on single days, you know, and stuff. But then it's amazing how things can also change sometimes, just due to a different view, different thought, different circumstances. So they had short truce at Christmas, you know, and then you have these photos of French and English soldiers celebrating Christmas with German soldiers on the front line, sharing alcohol, cigarettes, you know, enjoy just being human beings for a while, celebrating Christmas. That's interesting, no? So yeah, it depends. It depends on the view. They're an enemy 1 minute, next minute, temporary friend, you know. Then next day, yeah, back to trying to kill each other. It's interesting, isn't it, how things can change depending on what you impute. You impute Christmas and some festivity, you know, some truce, then you can enjoy it. Then you go back to labeling, okay, enemy, war, da 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 da. So it's all coming from, it's all a process of labeling, looks like.
Kabirji, another perspective to it.
Please.
I had a friend whose son was in the army. He was on anti-terror duty in Kashmir, young. He came back. He must have tortured or killed many people. So he came back so in such great trauma that he had to be shifted to a mental asylum.
Yes.
And these are not rare examples. I heard that there are many people in the army who actually, when they come back after these battles,
yes, yes.
the mental trauma is too much to bear.
Yes, yes. Many. The United States apparently is full of people like that, veterans who have suffered so much from, what is it, post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever. Yeah, dreadful. And, you know, any loud sound will make them panic and will take them back to, you know, awful memories in the war zone. War is hell. War is hell. I remember that phrase because I was fascinated as a 10-year-old child by the murder of John F. Kennedy. In fact, I wasn't even 10, I was only 7, but I remember it very well. All the news items in Delhi and so forth. And then it said that the police caught up with one of the, you know, assassins anyway. Later, of course, we think it's a conspiracy, many people, but anyway, they caught up with Lee Harvey Oswald in a cinema hall, and he was watching a film called War is Hell. So anyway, yeah, war is hell. It's hellish. Let's hope we don't have to engage in one again in our lifetime. But as Shantideva says, there's one war that we can carry on every day, and that's with the disturbing conceptions? Okay, a few more minutes if you like. I had my dinner a long time ago. Of course, most of you won't have had yours. Hanji, Sujitji, any poem you want to share?
No. I was just thinking about the irony that it isn't an irony actually. I think it's natural that the "what is hell" quote originally is by a general from the Civil War.
Sorry, can you repeat that? The irony is what?
Maybe it isn't an irony. I'm saying that the "war is hell" quote is by a general who was there in the Civil War, the American Civil War. So,
okay. Yeah, they would know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can.
And I was thinking about the Sanskrit word for chapter 4. I think is apramad.
Is what?
Apramad.
Acha, what does that mean?
So pramad is carefulness.
Carefulness.
And apramad would be what goes against carefulness, anti-carefulness. So basically,
you mean anti-carelessness?
No, I mean carefulness, but anti-carelessness as well. Carelessness, yes. Yeah, vigilance, yes. Being vigilant. So more than a noun, I suppose it's a verb.
Vigilance is a noun.
Yeah, I know. So is conscientiousness. Yes, I'm just thinking about how to incorporate that. It is more of a verb in that sense. Yes.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to know the Sanskrit. Originally, this text was in Sanskrit, and then the Tibetan is also apparently very, very, of course, very amazing and exact in its own way. But English, I guess it's a poor third or fourth or whatever as a translation. But even then, we get something. I'd like to finish with a quotation, which kind of on a more upbeat note, in case the fear and loathing has been too much. A short extract from one of my favorite little books that I carry around now, Pocket Chögyam Trungpa. It's called Eternally Rich, and it's on page 31. Eternally Rich. The basic practice of richness is learning to project the goodness that exists in your being, so that a sense of goodness shines out. When you feel that your life is established properly and fully, you feel that a golden rain is continuously descending. It feels solid, simple, and straightforward. Then you also have a feeling of gentleness and openness, as though an exquisite flower has bloomed auspiciously in your life. Although at that particular point you might be penniless, there is no problem. You are suddenly, eternally rich. Okay, so let's dedicate for everyone to be eternally rich with this basic goodness that we all have, our Buddha nature. May it radiate for the sake of the suffering beings who are caught up in confusion, disturbing emotions of all kinds. May we never be separated from authentic teachings and teachers in this and future lives. May all the authentic teachers have long and healthy lives, all their wishes be fulfilled, and may the Dharma exist in this world for a very, very long time. May, wherever there is conflict and war, may that cease. Shantideva says in his dedication chapter, may all fighting with weapons become a playful exchange of flowers. So if in the First World War troops can gather at Christmas and have alcohol and cigarettes together, for sure, conflict can also become a playful exchange of flowers. So anyway, may our lives become most meaningful for ourselves, for others, in whatever way. Whoever has anything to do with us, whether they like us or hate us or trying to help us or kill us, may it be beneficial for them. May it create a cause for their lasting happiness and awakening. May we generate genuine renunciation, bodhichitta, correct view of emptiness, and thus be real refuge and benefit for others, suffering beings. So thank you everybody very much, those at Tushita and the organizers, and those of you here on Zoom. Many, many thanks to you, and also dedicate for everyone who is traveling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, you finally woke up, Arunaji. Well done. I'm so glad. Nice to see you. You will be mourning the loss of that great great French filmmaker. What was his name? Who just passed away?
Godard.
Godard, Jean-Luc Godard. Yeah, let's hope he comes back. And
Jean-Luc Godard.
you must have a festival, Aruna. Please have a festival of his films. Try and organize
that would be lovely. Yes.
You have the power and the influence to do that. So please see if you can arrange something for us. Impoverished Delhi intellectuals, whatever. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for your patience, and we'll work something out for tomorrow. Okay, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank